anyone. I think anyone would benefit from a digital retreat. If you're tired, if you want to be re-envisioned, if you want to kind of experience more of God's heart for you, if you're tired, even if you're tired of Zoom calls, and you need a break. Actually, it's easy to feel like this is just going to be another 24 hours staring at my screen, but it really, really wasn't. It was kind of 24 hours of being taken out of the place that I was in, and having chance just to sit and reflect. So young, old, male, female, having a great time in lockdown, having a terrible time in lockdown, there's something to get out of retreat, and there's something to get out of just taking the time and the space for yourself, which hopefully means that once you end, you're going to enter back into the world just refreshed. Yeah, I was just like really, really struck by how, I think, welcoming and immersive the experience of retreat was. So kind of particularly there's like a little sequence right as the retreat started where you kind of like open the door to the retreat centre, and we're kind of sat in the garden, and I'm not sure if it was I guess it was partly like a planned thing and it was your warmth, but also there just felt like a real kind of spirit of welcome, and like although we weren't physically in the place, that it was like being welcomed into something that was like distinctive from just being sat in my room or looking at a laptop, but actually like really entering into a retreat experience. I think I also found just some of the kind of ways that Richard particularly led prayer, so like really using your breath and really using your physicality and your body, it just meant that even though you weren't like there, you were still like on retreat, because your body was like doing all of the things that kind of allowed you to be in that place of retreat. And so I was just really pleasantly surprised that even though it was digital, there didn't feel like a separation between life and retreat, but it just felt really, really immersive, and that it allowed me in my room or sat on my balcony just to be really present and to be really separate from the world, even once I kind of looked away from the laptop. I think so much of it was just to do with I think the stillness as well of the reflections, and the fact that actually the pre-recorded material allowed you a little glimpse into a place that isn't your room. So it kind of got your imagination working, but also kind of shutting your eyes and just allowing yourself to pray. It wasn't so much about being in St.Katharine's or being in your room or surrounded. It was really being in your own space with God, your own space in prayer. So whether it's lighting a candle or, I don't know, I sat out on my balcony and put a little chair as the sun was rising for the morning prayers, just incorporating the things in the world around you into the retreat, which was actually, it was what it was about. The city is our monastery, so learning to pray and be in that space with God where we are, regardless of whether we've been able to travel somewhere new or are sat in our room. If someone just played me a load of videos on YouTube, it definitely wouldn't have the same effect. I think something about firstly being on Zoom, so there's almost a measure of like you're turning up to something, so almost a little bit of accountability in retreat. There are other people there as well, and they're doing it with you. Even if you're not speaking, you're all watching the same material, you're all engaged in the same experience together, and you can see their names, you can see their faces. So you're very much having a shared experience, even if you're physically separate from other people. That's really different. And I think actually there's the pre-recorded material, it allowed it to be smooth in a way that just didn't distract from what you were doing. It didn't distract from the prayer, from I think just really feeling the presence of God, which you can be in a chapel or you can be in your room, but the presence of God is the same. And I think there was that real presence in the way that it was recorded, and that like shone through, but also the opportunity, especially in the small groups, just to meet people and hear their experience and hear what they were taking away from retreat. Again, it reinforced that sense of it being a shared experience. We weren't just watching videos, but actually there were some live things that we were watching in real time and actively taking part in, with each other. I think that morning kind of really made it come alive. Yeah. You know what, it's all the sweeter now that I'm actually able to be here. But it's funny actually, because even like the birds are singing behind me just now, and there were all these sounds of bird song being played over Zoom, and kind of clips of the chapel whilst you were praying. So it's nice to feel kind of the sun on my skin and hear it here, but actually it feels familiar, and that's a really, really special thing as well.